Hello, everyone, and welcome to the First Circuit Podcast, number 50. This is Lars, the casual Mechwarrior. I'm back from the dead from being gone for a little bit. But anyway, tonight we have a Biter.
Blarg.
Ian.
Hello, everyone.
Old Bob 10025.
Hello.
And a new special guest today, Lord Majestic.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, it's going great, man. Thanks to have you here. So, today's topics, we're going to be going over a few because today is number 50, so it's a little bit special. So let's go ahead and just open it up. I'm going to go ahead and let Bob take over this first bit because, Bob, this year was and is your baby. So, how do you feel about reaching 50?
Well, I already passed that, I guess, so pretty good. but I feel good. I feel really good. The one thing, the whole purpose of the First Circuit podcast was to give news out to the community itself, to create a community of gamers, to create to help each other with different aspects of creating stuff for Mechwarrior Online and BattleTech. And obviously, when BattleTech came out, we did do a whole mess of different things for that. But I feel really good about this. The podcast has gone for 50 episodes, and one of the things I gathered a great group of friends that I talk with almost every single day, and I make new friends like all the time. Because of the First Circuit podcast. And one of the things is, that's a main point of what I wanted is create a community and then also make friends. And I made a lot of friends now. It's so great. I love it. Woot woot.
Cool. Yeah, because I've been here bouncing back and forth. I think I was here. I forget when I came in. I came in episode 20 something maybe. I forget when I even first came in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but granted, I've kind of trailed off a little bit, but I definitely wanted to be here today because it's definitely a milestone, and I'm hoping we continue on. Hopefully, people from PGI or Harebrained Schemes can actually notice us. Please, senpai, be awesome.
Notice us. Witness
me. But I'm glad that we're doing this regardless, because it is still fun.
You two just want more free shilling.
Hey, I already show hard enough.
Already show hard, too.
Oh, man.
But, mainly, though, it's a community that actually makes the game. And one of the things that, just by us being here, by the people that actually go ahead and comment, in the comments, and watch the videos, and then talk about it. And that's the whole main thing about getting the word out for Mechwarrior Online, hopefully, and to go from there, and I'm really happy that it went how it's gone down so far. And then episode 100, I'm thinking it'll be even better. Hopefully we'll get someone for PGI and Harebrained Schemes. Even the janitor, I wouldn't mind. It doesn't matter.
All right, cool. Well, anyway, we should probably get into the meat and potatoes, and I think the guys last week went over this more so I don't know if we need to hold a little bit on this today, but the thoughts of the PTS. Did we want to go over that more, or actually, since you're kind of new, did you have any thoughts on the PTS?
I would say so. That in general, I've messed around on the PTS just because I wanted to at least see what the changes could potentially be. And if they're all implemented or not, obviously how that would affect the game, the balance of the game, and people's usability with a lot of their mechs and their builds. And I felt that obviously it's not all set in stone. That's why it's the public test server, because PGI wants that feedback. They want to see how people are interacting with these potential changes if they were to be implemented. It's not all said and done. I think a lot of times people kind of get the misconception that whatever's going on in the PTS, that's what's going to happen. That this is the be all end all. This is how it's going to change the game, and this is what we're ultimately going to have to deal with. But that's not necessarily the case, because we've seen it time and time again where things shift and people, they talk based off the comments and the feedback that PGI gets from the PTS. They kind of shift around that. If they see a heavy amount of the population in favor or against certain things, then they kind of reconsider it. I feel like a lot of times it might be throwing darts against the board, and they're like, hey, maybe this will stick because a lot of people were complaining about clan large lasers, you know? So it's like, you know what I mean, though? Like, it's, and they see that, and then they say, okay, well, if we were to, nerf clan lasers, then how would people react to that? And there's mixed sentiment on the board, I think, about it, but for people that are heavily involved on the clan side of things, I just I really don't think it was. I think it was definitely more of a nerf to the lasers than it was a obviously a buff. But if you look at some of these weapons as and the stats when people use them, like if you talk about the meta Hellbringer, for instance, a lot of people like to do the ER mediums with heavy larges. I think that a lot of people like to put on there. So like I'm looking at the clan ER medium, for instance. Yes, the damage was reduced from 7 to 5.25. But if you also look at the heat and the cooldown, you have reduced heat and you have reduced cooldown. So it's not only a nerf, and I just want to, I guess, put it out there that like it's kind of more of a scaled nerf, if that makes sense. And I hope you guys understand what I mean by that.
Yeah.
Because it's not just like, hey, screw you, clanners. We're just gonna screw over all your weapons systems and make you hate playing, any kind of clan laser boat. But I just think that if you look at the stats and you look at what they're actually doing, a lot of people just like to focus on the damage number and not take everything else into consideration. Because when you have reduced heat and reduced cooldown, that means more cycle times and more cycles with those weapons as well. So, I think that everything just needs to be kind of taken in context and not everyone get up in arms, especially if you are heavily involved or heavily favoring the clan side of things.
Definitely agree with that, though, but I do think that PGI does actually cave way too much compared to, like, it's, granted, yeah, we are the people that do play the game, but PGI does cave a little bit much. Like, oh my God, someone doesn't like it, and so boom, they just go, oh, we're not gonna have this now, type thing. They should actually just go with whatever their numbers are sometimes, because we don't know the numbers behind the scene. Like, we don't know all the stats and everything. Like, I'm trying to get the faction warfare stats to see how many people actually play the game, but of course they're never going to tell us. But you are right, though. They did for the new PTS did actually go up and down as far as the damage go down. Then then cycle times go up and everything, or go down as well too. But that's a nerf and a buff at the same time. That's actually a very good analogy.
There's a few things. I think I would agree very much with the matter of working with the community. When they try to just suddenly throw out the ghost heat changes for clan lasers, there's a huge backlash about it. People just were not expecting it at all. With the PTS, though, they're easing the community in to the idea that they're looking to nerf the clan lasers, and eventually people get so tired of talking about how they'll be nerfed, they'll be happy when the nerf finally actually comes through and they can stop fretting about it. I think they did, it was a nerf by reducing the damage to 5.25, and they did somewhat help the cooldown and heat. The relative DPS and damage per heat was still pretty bad. It was like an extended range inner sphere laser, at least for comparing the mediums. Though ultimately, at least all this talking about the numbers, that was the first PTS. There's a bit of new on the PTS 1.1 they tried afterwards, where they've put the number of damage up to like 6.25 of the medium lasers, and they've been increasing the durations for a lot of these lasers. As we'll cover soon, at least Paul has also done a post on the developer outreach, which has said what their findings of the PTS have been and where they'll be going in the future. Which he says, the numbers on the PTS are not approved for final implementation. So even the PTS 1.1 numbers are very much still in the air, and we'll have to wait until the next No Guts No Galaxy podcast, where I think Paul's taking part, where he'll talk about where they're going to go or what they're planning with their clan laser nerfs.
I mean, just to come back on that, I completely agree with you on that, in the sense of, like, the DPS numbers fell, and with the 1.1 PTS, it's again another shift, and that's I think I think that's why it's important that people are engaged with the PTS, because that's how PGI does get the feedback of what people are either appreciative of or would be against. And based off what old Bob said, I think it's extremely important that PGI stick to their guns. Whatever they decide, just stick to your guns. Don't say something that's going to happen and then change it. And because that just shows to us as the community, and again, this is just constructive criticism for them and going forward with this game, because obviously we all care about it and we all appreciate everything that they do about it. Yeah. But at the end of the day, if there's wishy-washiness and the community feels as though we can be the ones to easily influence what the developers want to do with the game, then we just want to make sure that they keep their stance, keep their backbone, keep what they want to do to the game, and we'll adjust. We've been adjusting for what? I mean, it's been 6 years that this game's been out, so it's not that we're not able to adapt to whatever changes are made to it, because you're always going to have this diehard community, this tight-knit, diehard family that is this Mechwarrior Online and BattleTech community, and so we appreciate everything that they do. So I just don't want to see them like go back and forth or switch things up at the last second and be like, never mind, and that, because then to some people I could see that easily being perceived as like they don't care or they didn't think about it completely before they implemented it.
Yeah. Basically, what was happening to the laser nerfs.
Oh yeah, that was a big mess.
That was a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how they handle this. Though easing the community into things like the skill tree, weapon nerfs, etc., is usually the better way to go about it. So I don't have too many complaints just yet, though obviously at least we'll have to wait and see.
I'm just hoping, and I'm hoping it goes well, because and like their past PR has not really been the best. So I'm really hoping that they just are just transparent through the whole thing. Or they're not drunk during the podcast. If you guys remember that one.
Yeah, I know.
So,
at least the things I'm not the least looking forward to is their nerfs to stuff like large pulse lasers, which we're not seeing that much play in the first place. I think there's some energy weapons that are really above, really strong, whereas others like the small laser, yes, it does a fairly good amount of damage and whatever, but it's only 200 meters range. It's not like medium lasers or heavy larges, which have a good amount of damage output for the tonnage. And also they do recognize, as at least Paul said in his update post, that the smaller mechs, like if you think like the Gen 2C with energy hardpoints, or anything like an Arctic Cheetah trying to use energy, these nerfs are going to hugely affect them as well, and they're not throwing on a huge laser vomit build. So these nerfs, they hurt the meta Hellbringer, but they really hurt the smaller clan mechs, which get even more stuck into the just being MG mechs, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
I can agree with that.
Also, too, like we're not actually saying that community doesn't have any good ideas. They do. I mean, community has some great ideas, but a corporation like PGI can only take so much in and go and fix whatever they want. Like, I have some grandiose ideas for Faction Warfare, but can they do it? Probably not. So like it's just a company in general can only do so much to the game itself before they before they can. So yeah.
With the there's so many different weapon systems, mechanics, and mechs in the game. There's so many little knobs and levers that you can twist and turn. I've always been talking about just getting rid of mana potions, but even if you're directly nerfing the laser weapons, I still think you should nerf the biggest offenders, so medium lasers, heavy larges, these things that have a huge amount of damage for the tonnage invested. Weapons like the large pulse laser, the small laser, were not the biggest offenders, and they shouldn't be the biggest recipients of nerfs, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Increasing duration seems like a nice idea. Even if they do more damage, they take almost like twice as long to get it out, or something like that. So you can actually twist it. That's always been a huge complaint, a common complaint. And yeah, Ghost Heat. I think the initial suggestion of Ghost Heat wasn't actually a too bad a way to curl back how many lasers you can actually use at once, forcing clan laser mechs to either fire in groups or have to mix it up with other weapon systems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what you're really saying is, Spider, we actually have to watch the podcast from NGNG for once.
you don't?
No, I don't. Why would
Really?
I?
Why not? I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's at least, there's not much actual new information. There'll be more coming in future, though. So, shall we crack on with topic number 3? August
thing.
dropship deals.
Oh boy.
Oh
Because
boy.
that one's really, really good.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion.
Yeah. So especially if you're a new player or veteran who just didn't really give a lot of money, you're going to be able to get some sweet swag in this pack.
Because for the August dropship deals, it's kind of like the champion sale we had earlier, where you can pick 10 mechs, if I'm not mistaken. No, 5.
5, yeah.
5. Yeah, you can pick 5 mechs out of a certain list, and you pay a reasonable amount of money for those 5 mechs.
Well, I don't know. Basically, you can still actually get these with normal, C-bills, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all C-bills.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. You're basically saving playing time in order to get those mechs immediately, and I think at that point it's a fair price for what you get.
I think relatively, if I'm going to point out, I guess, and this is just personal opinion here, of out of all of these bundles that you could go for, which ones I'd probably would consider going for. I think I really think the medium mechs that you could pick from are probably the most valuable for the price point. $12.50 for 5 mechs. That's $250 a mech. And when you look at the mechs that are in there, you got a lot of dedicated fans for the Centurions, the Hunchbacks, the Shadowhawks. I'm a huge Blackjack fan myself. You got the Kentaros in there. And a lot of people are building stuff even around the Wolverines. So I just feel like out of all of these bundles that you could possibly choose from for the price point, like for $250 a mech, if you want to save on C-bills and just keep your stash kind of high with when the C-bill side of things, that me personally, I'm definitely, if I were to pick up anything in this kind of August deal thing, it would be in the medium class.
Yeah, same here. Yeah,
If
because
the account was probably empty, I would probably pick up the medium bundle at least 2 times. Because there are so many
times.
that I want.
2 times, big numbers.
Man, yeah. But the Griffin 2N, that's a great mech I would definitely get. I mean, the Wolverine, I really enjoyed the 7K. But yeah, I mean, just definitely a good deal.
I'd definitely pick up a couple Shadowhawks.
Yeah, this is just like the previous dropship deals I said before. At least these are great if you're starting up the game, you're new to it, and you wanted to just put down a little bit of money, and you get a whole bunch of mechs in this sale.
And good mechs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say it's only $2.50 every weight class you go up. So there's actually plenty of heavy mechs, pretty good heavy mechs out there for just $2.50 more than the medium mech sale we're talking about.
Yeah. I don't see the Warhammer or Marauders in there, or the Riflemans or anything.
And that's what kind of kept me from saying the heavy mechs, because I mean the Jaeger mech was the first mech I ever got in this game, but that's not enough. Because of nostalgia, I would pick that up. I just think if they did include the Warhammers or something like that, or even a lot of people are starting to like the Archer now, which is kind of crazy. But even if they had, which I'm sure we'll get into in a little bit.
If we look at new player, even the heavy mech bundle, I think there are a lot of good choices in here. Especially catapults, in my personal opinion, are super versatile and pretty good to teach new player. So still, heavy mech is okay for me if I'm thinking new player, and medium is obviously the golden one.
Yeah. And at least from last week, we were getting a little worried about PGI. There was a week they had without any real sales going on. They've been fervent
above
with
beyond
the constant sales.
It's like they're trying to get new
once.
servers for Mechwarrior 5 or something like that. They're like, we need to make some money. Let's
Yeah,
let's do
quick
it.
money.
But yeah, they've been having sales nonstop, and I'm either worried or like kind of like cool type thing like at the same time. So like I get some good deals, or like what's PGI doing? What's her end goal type thing? Or do they need money? What's going on type thing? So that's kind of like my view on that.
Yeah, I have absolutely no clue. You can only speculate. As I said, like maybe they realize if they do lots of sales, they get more money in on average when they do sales. So they say, let's just do sales all the time. But there's going to be a drop off. There's a lack of returns eventually with these constant sales. And just to mention something else about all of these dropships deals is you don't have to buy the mech base. Each mech comes with it.
Really?
That's even
Yeah.
better then.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's even better yet then. I
So
was
5 mech
mistaken.
base saves you 1500 MC, which is $7 if I'm not mistaken.
With a free mech bay? Well,
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's actually better. That's good. That's a really good thing then. Oh my god.
And the funny thing is, they actually, I don't know if you guys noticed, but on the website itself, they actually have a separate tab now specifically for the dropship deals, which I think, kind of articulates the fact that they're like, hey, don't be dumb. Find out what mechs you like in this bundle, because it's probably worth it if you want to save some time, grinding C bills and whatnot. So,
What does it say about the mech bay for them? Because I'm looking at the dropship
On
deals.
the
Same thing.
store page. If you go to the actual store page.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it says
okay.
all selected mechs
Okay.
include one mech bay.
Yeah. And the fact that I have
pretty
the extra
sweet.
page means that they are very likely doing more of them, which I really like.
Awesome.
Might do a Robotech time. Robotech mechs for $5.
Now this is a really stupid question, but I wonder if someone, if they're really interested in metagaming, like, using MC to buy C bills is a ridiculously bad offer. But what happens if you buy 5 atlases for $17.50 and sell all the stuff? Is that better value for money? Can you spend one with them there with an XL in? If you just sell that over and over again, I see there's an Atlas K.
They had a bug a long time ago for that, though. Like, I think a couple people took advantage of that. Of the engines of one of the mechs, you could sell for more than when you bought the mech for.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is, at least though, you're always putting the start of the process. You put money in, you buy 5 Atlas Ks. I'm not sure you can actually do that, but if you could, then you could sell all 5 of them and all 5 XL 300 engines and all the kit in them, which is like a Gauss rifle, this, that, and the other. And that could be a much better offer in terms of C bills than using MC to purchase them.
Granted, probably everything is better value than the C-bill package from C.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, and it's still probably not a good use of your money, but if you only want 4 of the mechs, and like if you're going for the assault bundle, for example, you have 4 you really like, but you don't care about the 5th one. Pick up maybe an Atlas K and sell it for its XL engine and 100 tonner.
Yeah, then extra C bills, man.
Could be. So next, I think, is that for the dropship deals?
Yeah, I think
I
so.
think so
Yeah.
for the most part, yeah.
I think it's pretty good.
Okay, next is the Creator versus Davion mini campaign. Oh my god, they went into lore. Holy cow. Can you even
But
believe it? That is amazing.
How lore friendly is it?
At least they got it right. Creator versus Davion. At least they got that right, so I'm happy about that.
Actually, Bob, we're talking about Clan Invasion time period, where there was no real aggression between Creed and Devian except for the Sandoval assault.
Hey, they got the Creator and Davion names right. I'm happy. So that's all
guess.
there. But they made it actually to be a kind of like border skirmish, to disrupt supply lines. They made it that kind of stuff, and that's actually kind of cool. They actually put some effort into the campaign, into actually faction warfare and scouting mode. So they put some effort into doing this, which is what I want them to do. I mean, border skirmish, Created Forces test Davion defenses on Scat, and display disrupt supply lines. Korea's attempt to disrupt Davion supply lines, stuff like that. They do some good things like that, so you feel immersed into the game. Because that's one thing about the game itself, does not have immersion into it. Because you can take away the skins and put Call of Duty skins, and we'll be jumping around like crazy. like running around some like type of like power plant or something like that. So they did a good job on this, and I'm happy they're doing stuff like this. Granted, some of them suck, and basically me and Biter talked about this the other day. Was border skirmish, you just had to go do interrogate the MC. You had to do win a skirmish. But the other ones, like I think disrupt supply line. If you click on that, that has it where you have to do. Where's it at? Get a victory and then earn 1,250 conquest bonus. Now, is that for scouting mode? Because I do not want to do faction warfare. I just want to do scouting mode. Now, I probably won't be able to get that because of just that simple fact is I don't want to be sitting there doing faction warfare because there's no point. But I'm happy they're doing something for lore friendly.
Yeah.
I was very surprised to be reminded that faction warfare exists.
Yeah, there's that.
I was kind of like, at least whenever there's a faction warfare event, at least me personally, I always just jump into scouting because doing stuff like damage, kills, kill assists, and all that type of jazz can be done in scouting, and particularly the really annoying ones that get 15 wins is a lot quicker in scouting than doing 15 invasion matches and hoping you win all of them.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting. Like on the first day, they have what is it? It's like get a win in skirmish, and I was like, oh, skirmish. That's the 12v12 mode where the objective is to kill each other, i.e., not scouting, which means I have to do invasion. But funny enough, at least for the first day, scouting counted. Now, I want to at least we haven't been able to see how it is for the second day, but it says second day get. Even that first victory is get a victory in conquest. So you have to queue up for invasion and hope you get a conquest game mode. Maybe it's always conquest, I'm not sure. But again, though, I'm like, can I do that in scouting? Because I would really like to just do that in scouting and get it over with.
I'm definitely with you on that one because I really don't want to do faction warfare. And for me to go ahead and hope that some other team picks conquest mode or hope they do siege mode, that kind of thing. It really irritates me they actually put modes like this where it's dictated on the player investment into actually getting to into that mode, because sometimes like even when they actually had on the normal quick play, it was more of like you have to shoot down 4 UAVs. I'm like, well, great. Someone has to go drop 4 UAVs for me to go get this. So I have to go through like 10, 15 games and hopefully someone drops UAV. So it's based off player involvement instead of actually like just doing that type of mode type thing and hopefully, go and get that type of thing. And I really don't like those types of events.
Granted, I think I would rather have shoot down UAVs because, people drop them in game. You see them, fairly often, but I don't want to have to be like, oh no, I have to wait for a person to choose the game mode.
At least, for this series of events, they do have a UAV-related event, but it's only detect 4 enemies with a UAV.
Yeah. That's fine.
You don't have to rely on the enemy popping UAV and you being able to shoot it down. I'm still there, as I was alluding to earlier, I'm annoyed that they're always talking about get a victory in Siege, do a certain thing in Siege, do this, that, all these quick play game modes, which means I have to do invasion. I don't want to do invasion, I want to do scouting, and the thing that really burns the most is they're giving away a fair amount of MC every day.
Yeah.
For this. It's like 300 MC, but I have a feeling the later ones might not be so bugged, and I'll be missing out on the MC every time unless I do invasion.
I was just gonna say, when I started this stream this morning, I was like, you know what, screw it. Like I've always like tried to stray away from faction play and everything like that.
Oh, that's rough when doing a stream.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal, especially when if there's no events and you're like, guys, I'm gonna do faction play today. It's like, oh my gosh, it's worse than watching paint dry. But it's
and like the wait times.
Yeah, the wait times are horrible. But the point that so I was like, you know what? If there's an event going on about it, I actually had longer wait times getting into a pug match than I did for the faction play, and for the first, I think that's the first time that's ever happened in the history of this game. But in the meantime, I said, you know what? Like, I'll give it a whirl. Like, whatever. We'll go out. We'll do it. On the site, they say it takes between roughly 2 to 4 matches to get all of these rewards done and everything like that. And I had to say, today I actually had a a decent experience with it. It took 20 minutes, and I actually got it all done in the first round. So it was like, and the rewards are half decent, like you said. So to spend it, for me, my experience, at least for the first time in this godforsaken game mode, it was a good time. And the rewards that came out of it, like between the cockpit items, the C bills, and then the MC that was stashed on top of those, a couple of those. It was good, and the queue was quick. So I think that's half of it. Is like everyone shifted over to faction play to get this done, and that's the reason why it was a more pleasant experience than it has been. If you guys haven't done it, there's 4 hours left in the one today, and to commit to it and just go for it and get it done. It's definitely worth going through.
Pretty
I
sweet.
don't know, last night I was jumping on streaming around about 4:30, and then 5 o'clock rolled down. Biter says, "Hey, by the way, there's a new event going on." I'm like, "Oh, cool, Faction Warfare." I'm like, "Oh, great, no Faction Warfare." So I jumped on from 5 to 5:15 looking for scouting mode, and for 15 minutes I literally could not get any game whatsoever. So then I did about 2 or 3 cooking matches really quickly, and then I jumped into scouting mode, and it went by quick. But of course, people getting into it, they just knew, and just knew about it. But it just reminded me of waiting times. It's like, oh God, why am I doing this? And I was getting upset.
Well, speaking of time, that's the funny thing that they announced this event only 20 minutes before it started or thereabouts.
Yeah.
So at least when Bob jumped in, it was because he was very much on top of the recent news because I told him. But most people, of course, haven't necessarily found out about it. So it's much better usually when we have at least a couple of days in advance to know that these events are going on, because it is a pity to, look back on a Sunday, at the MWO site and go, oh, I just missed a Friday and Saturday event where I could have got like 600 MC. I wish I had known about that ahead of time.
Yeah.
There's also the thing that people have been complaining about, and I quite agree with, that it's a daily thing. It's only 24 hours. There's not even overlap. So that you have a very limited window to actually get all of these rewards done. And at least whilst I have plenty of people have free time on the weekend, it's carrying on over into Monday and Tuesday where I would really like that 600 MC, but sometimes you just don't have the time.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I like the overlap on the last event where it was like 48 hours, and so I could skip a day, then come back like after work and just knock them out really quick, in case I didn't want to play during that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think probably a good balance is kind of like how we just said, is that if you have overlap, but also have the event not be extremely difficult to get. So, so for me, like, I work every day, I have to take care of family things after work, so I'm maybe on twice a week now anymore. So yeah, the last one was really good. I really want to try this because I've been avoiding faction warfare. But if it's gonna bring people into a quicker queue, and if people work as a team for once, I'm tempted to get back, but I can't do it tonight because I'm going to a party. Maybe tomorrow I'll try it out and see what I get. I'm curious to know, but I do want to do the final siege, only because I want that Emerald Cicada. That's all I want. That's all I want.
They are at least giving plenty of, cockpit items and MC, trying to get people into this.
Yeah.
A funny thing, at least to segue into a slightly different topic, would be, they have been neglecting faction warfare for quite some time. There's not really been many updates for it, and there hasn't even been events for it for quite some time as well. And part of the thing that Paul covered in his update post, talking about the PTS, was that they are going to look at updating faction warfare, trying to rejuvenate faction warfare again. So I have a feeling, since they're shifting their priorities over to faction warfare, they suddenly went, oh yeah, we should try and get some numbers on faction warfare. Let's do an event.
Just a suggestion: supply lines and reason why to take planets. That might be a suggestion, because I really care. I haven't even looked at the map for like 4 months. That's like whatever. I don't care.
Always been a constant thing, and a constant thing we always jab about here on the podcast whenever we talk about faction warfare is that there is no reason to care about the planets, for the most part, besides of go here and go fight on this ball of dust, have fun.
Well, another thing too is like they didn't have any information on the planet itself.
Exactly.
Period.
Nothing.
It's like, dude, I will do that for free. Let me do it for free. I will name all your planets. I'll put the information. I'll look on Sarnet and put it in for you. I'll do it for free, Russ. I'll do it for free. Just because that's the biggest thing in my whole thing. I'm fighting on planet B. Yeah, that's it. Cool. Kicking. Come on.
I'm pretty sure they don't have any planetary information on the Terra yet, do they? Terra.
No,
Planetary
probably not.
information unknown.
I think you're right.
Well, but actually, if you're looking at the current time frame of 30, 60, whatever it is, there is no information about Terra. Because it's still held by a Comstar and no one knows what's going on there.
At least, basically humans came from this planet. That I wouldn't care, just anything. Why I'm fighting on the freaking planet. I wouldn't care, man. Just let me do it, please.
I mean, at the very least, like, you just delete that Terra. It has a moon. There we go. You have some planetary information.
Yay. Exactly. Okay, guys.
So that is one thing I am going to be looking forward to is when they do talk about 2 podcasts from PGI. Is that I want to see about the PTS, and I really want to see what they're doing with faction play, because whenever I was actually part of a unit, we used to play a lot of faction play, and I did have a lot of fun. But now I'm just in a unit of 1. I never go back, so I'm really hoping they have some pertinent information in that future podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we'll join you. We'll join Disney World. It's okay.
I think at least what Paul said in his initial post is, they're just looking for ideas from the community at this point. Like, they're brainstorming how to work on faction warfare in a reasonable manner. So, maybe we'll talk about this next podcast, or we could talk about it now at least. What kind of things we should do to actually improve faction warfare? Oh, Bob, I think you mentioned the supply lines to actually make the map somewhat relevant.
Yeah. Okay.
But that might be good for our next podcast, because we do have one last thing that I think will take a giant chunk, though.
Yeah.
Which is New Mech Pack!
Not a Gundam.
I thought it was Karina versus Davion.
You just went over that, Bob.
Oh, yeah, see, I'm old. That's why. That's why.
There's the memory, boys. There it goes.
There it goes. Right out your bandwidth.
I've been drinking too much.
Pretend we haven't covered it. We'll just do it all again and, see his fresh reaction.
I was gonna say, with Bob's trying to do the intro, I really couldn't tell if Bob was joking or not on that one for a minute.
No, I couldn't do the intro for some random way.
What are they doing to you in that old folks home?
Oh man, you would know, man. It's really bizarre.
It's a bunker.
It's a bunker.
So we have the Vapor Eagle, which is the not a Gundam from what people in my Discord have been saying a lot, which I guess if you want to call it a Gundam, I don't see the resemblance.
No.
But to me, this looks like the clan version of a Phoenix Hawk, which is just 10 tons heavier. It's going to go fast, jump jetty, and mask on one of the variants. I think the Hero or something like that.
Yes.
Well, they did the P-Hawks 2C, though, so basically it's not really a Phoenix Hawk, but it's like the unofficial P-Hawk until they make the P-Hawk 2C for Mechwarrior Line.
Oh, I want the P-Hawk 2C.
Yeah.
I want it so bad.
I mean, it looks okay. It looks decent. But it's a clan mech. Come on.
It looks pretty. I really enjoyed the look of this. Yeah, like this is one where I like the overall look of it. I like the decals they're bringing out with this thing, and now that we know what the cockpit standing items look like, and they've been some pretty decent quality standing cockpit items.
Yeah.
I might give money for this one. They might make me open my wallet for another pack.
I mean, the colors are pretty cool. I mean, the decals they have for it are interesting. It's, I don't know what the hell is that, one decal or multiples? I can't tell.
There's multiples.
Okay,
yeah.
multiples like in there. Yeah, and that's halfway decent. And how it looks is pretty cool. The camo, and plus also for $20. I mean, anyways, for $20, it's a good deal. If you haven't picked this up, pick it up. 3 mechs, you get the three free like mech base. The 3 days alone is $12.50. So for I think for $7.50 you get 3 mechs and plus decals, colors, war horns, cockpit items and premium time. I mean, that's a good deal. Like, anyways, if you guys haven't picked this up.
Yeah.
Only thing I'm a little, I guess, skeptical about is the fact that they hid the only mask-capable variant behind the paywall of the hero.
It's a paywall. Yeah.
So that's kind of annoying. I don't think I agree with that. I love the look of the mech, a 55-ton clanner. You know, like you guys are mentioning, it's like going to be the equivalent essentially on that side to the Phoenix Hawk. Especially when you put the speed tweak on it, it's going to hit that 108, 110 range, something like that. But I just like to be like, oh, well, if you want to go really fast, though, you have to pay $10 more. You know, it's like, like, come on. You know, I would have at least liked to see them put them on one of the standard pack variants, at least make it not seem like that, and then maybe mix it up with some of the hard points or something, or maybe an extra jump jet or something like that. I don't know, in some kind of capacity. I just don't like to think that someone's going to, go out on the battlefield and be like, hey, oh, he's got the rival. He could go faster than me because he's the only one that can actually do that, which is kind of annoying.
Well,
but
in that regard, I actually need to say, from a marketing point of view, this was a good move, because I criticized on earlier mech packs that both the reinforcement and the hero didn't offer anything special that would make people buy it. In this particular mech pack, at least both the reinforcement and the hero have things.
Cut out there.
Oh, Ian, you still there?
I think we got the point, though, that, I would very much agree that, a lot of the packs, particularly like reinforcements sometimes, when we had very samey hard points, like on the Vulcan, for example, there wasn't really much point in getting the whatever is in the reinforcement packs.
Yeah.
So, and they have been often putting like the missile variants behind the hero paywall, like the Night Star and Annihilator heroes are the only missile variants.
Yeah, that Phoenix Hawk killed me. Yeah, it's just.
To give my own thoughts on the Vapor Eagle. It's very open in terms of how you could build with it, at least in terms of it has max engine 400, it can take 6 jump jets, it typically has quite a few hard points to work with, and indeed the hero also has mask. The hero having mask, though, comes at a huge cost, which is a lot of weapon hard points. You've only got 3 ballistic, 1 missile, and 2 energy. If you're chucking in an XL400 and mask, so you could go that super speed, well, you're still going to have your regular 55-tonner agility, which means all that speed isn't even necessarily that useful. It doesn't mean you dart in and out of cover super great. It means you run from one corner of the map to the other faster than usual. That's sort of how it plays. And usually, at least, you want a lot of energy, ballistic hardpoints to go mass MG, lots of energy to go with, mass, small laser, micro laser, whatever, lots of missile to use, a whole bunch of SRMs. But it's only got a couple of each. So, the Vapor is a great meme. I really want to, XL400 mask, 6 jump jets, 3 machine guns, 2 micro lasers, and an SRM2. Let's go, baby.
That's pretty much all you're going to do, because that's also the only variant that has nothing in the left torso. It's just blank.
Yeah, well, you got to ask yourself a question, though. Can you outrun a bullet?
You go 160 kph with...
You might be able to.
No.
Though, even though I said they have a whole bunch of hard points and a good engine cap, the question though is, what are you actually typically building with your clan mechs, and what does this bring uniquely to the table? If you look at, for example,
55-tonner as well.
Yeah, on the Vapor Eagle 1, for example, you've got what? Let's see, 4 ballistic, 2 missile, and 4 energy. That's a very diverse weapon loadout. But it also means, at least for clan, you're not going to become an SRM boat like the Huntsman or the Arctic Wolf do. At least when I see clan mechs, I think light mechs they go mass MG, medium mechs they go mass SRM, and the heavies and assaults they typically go mass meta. Or maybe. So it can be a bit tricky with just 4 energy hardpoints turning this into an energy boat. I mean, it can be done. It's just, it always feels a little bit awkward, and so you might always have to diversify your loadouts, which I personally like, but for the typical clan player, they usually like to really specialize their builds. And things like 3 ballistic in the arm is nice. Usually, a lot of them have 3 ballistic in the arm. It's only 3 machine guns. It's you could tickle the enemy a bit, but you're not building your mech around their tickle power.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I like the which one is it? It's not the A. It's the 4 with the 2 missiles and the 7 energy. Actually, it looks pretty cool.
Excuse me. Sorry,
Yeah.
you
The
said
4.
you like the A, and then you went to 4.
No,
Sorry.
no, I was looking at A, but then I went to the 4.
He's struggling with scrolling up and down or something.
Yeah, yeah. The 4 actually looks pretty cool.
A moment earlier, guys. Give him a chance.
Hey, I'm an old folks home, so you gotta worry about that.
No, but the 4 does look pretty good.
7 energy and 2 missile hard points, especially with streaks, and then 7 micropulse lasers or something like that works out pretty good for a very, very close smack or something.
See, I was actually looking at, and this is, I guess, this is what I like to hear, because there's so much, there's such a difference between what people like to run and what their favorite, role to play on the battlefield is, because I could see exactly what you're talking about with the 7 energy and stuff like that, whether you're doing mediums or some kind of combination of, even large pulse and whatever. And I was actually going to say, for me personally, the 1 actually looks like the one that I'd probably be messing around with the most, just because I'm more of a DPS skirmish brawler kind of approach when it comes to things. So to see 4 ballistic, I could go heavy machine guns there. To see 2 missile, I could do double SRM-6 as Artemis. And 4 energy, I could either do small pulse, ER smalls, medium pulse, something like that. And even with the missiles, I could do SRM-2s for that DPS, or something like that. And so that's why it's kind of funny whenever I hear the other side of it, when people are talking about other types of builds that they like to incorporate in their mechs and everything. I really, really enjoy hearing the thought process behind it. So I appreciate you guys diving into which ones you think you'd favor the most.
Yeah, because I know personally. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, keep giving my overview. I'd say the standard pack has the somewhat missile-y energy one, somewhat ballistic heavy one, and the whole bunch of different hard points on the 1. I am indeed most keen on the 1. I'm half tempted to get the collector's pack here, but I'll wait until I see quirks to upgrade. And the reinforcement pack has the bit more of the specialists. It's got the energy boat. It's got the even more missile-y boat kind of thing. You could do a SRM-24 with an LB-10 kind of brawler build. And the hero is the joke. The fun, zippy mech.
That's your meme, yeah. And that's kind of so it's kind of like they're all different, because I know personally I'm going to be the oddball, and I'm going to probably go for the 3 variant, because, if I don't want to go ahead and put all the money into it, the 3 is still in your standard pack. I'm going to get 1, 2, 3 missiles and 1, 2, 3, 4 energy. I can do SRMs or streaks in this thing with mask, maybe.
No,
and
no
just
mask on that one.
No mask on that one?
Yeah.
Never mind. So
Only on the
mask.
hero.
Right.
Boo!
Boo! But either way, I was still because I'm still going to be going pretty fast for this size mech, and I can go streak light hunting in this thing possibly.
Yeah, I'm hardpoint wise, it might not be everyone's cup of tea, at least in terms of specialization. I wonder, at least with the hardpoints always spread about, whether it will have always great convergence, because at least with other mechs you usually want a whole bunch of weapons just on the torso, so you just poke above, whereas the energy mech, the energy variant, all the energy is stuck in the arms, so you might have to expose quite a bit more. I will say, in regards to the mask, I was really tempted because of all the speed, but in the end, at least, the Hellfire just came out, and it's 5 tons heavier, sure, but it's basically the same thing with actually enough hard points to make something work. So I might as well just if you're really keen about the mask on a 55 tonner with a good engine cap, I think the Hellfire has you mostly covered already, honestly.
Probably so. Overall though, I think all the different mechs are pretty good. This pack, I'm actually, even though it is a clan mech, Boo Clans, it's still actually not too bad. As far as for the beginner trying to get into the game for a 55-ton mech, and then also a clan mech, and so it's a good deal. It's nice, a lot of good different hard points. It is a battle mech, so it's not a frontline mech with the omnipods, but overall, like we said, the hero mech is stuck behind a paywall, but everything else does look halfway decent, except for I think it's the A, is it? No, it's a 4, which doesn't have jump jets, so you have to worry about that. But I mean, otherwise though, everything else looks pretty good as far as the mech wise.
Yeah. So
the mech looks pretty good, and it probably has some good hitboxes as well.
Yeah, I think overall it looks good. I think it's going to perform well, and it's a breath of fresh air compared to the last packs we got. Like the Vulcan, even the Incubus was kind of eh.
Well, since we're having the mechs look like humans, bring back the Stinger and Wasp.
Yes.
Bring the Stinger and Wasp for a pack for $10. I'll buy it.
Slow poke.
Maybe one day we'll get a slow poke, giant ball with legs.
Okay, God. Oh, jeez.
Yep, the Vapor Eagle stands proudly because it's not the Vulcan, the poor Vulcan.
I don't know how that's going to come out, though. Like, I don't know how the Vulcan's going to do. That's going to be interesting to see.
It just...
I think give it the best quirks to spite us all.
I genuinely think if they play this in one aspect of it, they could totally pull a bushwhacker on us here and just completely make it like invincible for the weight class.
Amazing if they made the Vulcan just crazy tough.
Well, do you remember when the bushwhacker was first announced? Everyone was like, "Ugh, gross, never, ever, I hate it. It's disgusting. I'm never gonna buy that." And then
it's so tanky.
And now I don't think I know anyone who doesn't have at least one of the variants in their arsenal. Because you'd be a fool not to. Like an Intersphere, 55 tonner with the tankiness of like some kind of heavy assault hybrid with the speed of a speedy, medium and even a slower light is like.
Just good hit.
It's just good, yeah. So I could see them. So I could see them doing the same thing with the Vulcan because the Vulcan's getting crapped on. Like when you hear people talk about it, they're like, "Nah, no, I'm not going to commit." And then they're going to put these.
The Vulcan looks like it's like a person had glue and toothpicks and made a mech. It's like, here's your Vulcan.
Well, the Vulcan wasn't designed for mech-to-mech combat. It's more designed for like tank on tank and infantry and plus elementals and everything. That's what it's designed for. But
if they troll us all and give it stupid armor quirks, I will be impressed.
PGI, listen to me. Do it. Do it.
I mean, I personally, I picked up the Bushwhacker because I loved its look. It looked so derpy, but I just couldn't fall in love with the Vulcan because of its hard points. We'll see.
Yeah, that was the big issue. Because it was very samey whenever we were going through that.
I would love if PGI gave it ridiculous armor quirks, and then when they do their quote unquote typical hot fix, then they get what they really intended to, just to mess with people.
Well, that's
the hero 50% cooldown on missile weapons just to spite people.
Yeah.
True. Oh God. I mean, like, the Bushwhacker, though, like, when I first used it, I'm like, I don't want it. But then, just like you're talking about, it's like, oh, my God, this thing's like a tank, just like the Marauder. I mean, I had so many games where I literally was going toe-to-toe with assault mechs and literally winning, and the Marauder just turned out to be a great mech to have as well. And the Bushwhacker, too. It's, like, so diverse in what you can do with that thing. It has all the hard points you want to go and do different type of builds. So next, I think, what's next on this?
That was our last topic for the most part, guys.
Well, we've got one more thing that I personally want to mention. If you've got some time, go ahead and check out the either Catalyst Games or Hairbrain Schemes Twitter, because they just posted a picture from Gen Con, and Catalyst Games has apparently produced about 1.5 person high awesome for their booth, which is kind of awesome to look at.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, like it's a gigantic statue like they used to have at Virtual World a long time ago for the Mad Cat they had, and this one's the Awesome, which they have at Gen Con, which is beautiful, good, gorgeous looking mech, and they have like some type of contest, don't they? To go ahead and paint it like some certain color.
Yeah. So from what I've gathered, the community can decide how this thing is gonna be painted eventually, and then we'll see what they do with it.
That would be pretty cool.
That's pretty awesome. I was gonna say awesome.
Pretty awesome.
Damn it.
It is.
Didn't want to do that. I was trying to find a different word, and then my brain was like, "Nope, you're just going full throttle into this."
Awesome pick. Yeah. Like I'll leave the links down below so you guys check it out. So the last part of this is the state of the game. Our thoughts on the state of the game in general. So I'll leave that off to Biter first, and we'll go down the list, and then we'll kind of just kind of say like what we think how the state of the game is viable as far as like how long it's going to go for, like 2 years, 3 years down the road, that type of thing. So let's go ahead and let's go with Biter first for the state of the game.
So state of the game, I would say, if I had to guess, it would be between a gas and a liquid. If I'm going to hedge my guess, I would say it's super critical.
What?
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Okay. A gas and a what? A liquid?
A gas and a liquid, but I'm hedging my bets and saying it's a supercritical fluid.
So it's not frozen yet, is what you're saying?
That
it has
frozen
viable
is
options.
solid. That's quite a ways away from supercritical.
Okay, whatever. but no, but for reals though, for reals.
Okay, for reals, supercritical fluids are just in between.
Oh my god!
Oh god, no!
Jesus.
I mean, okay. So people.
Okay, so we can skip Biter. Go ahead, Biter.
So I mean, it's always. I don't have any metrics to actually gauge how well the game is doing in terms of like player count, this, that, and the other. And when they're doing these Solaris events and faction warfare events, it can sometimes feel a bit lonely in quick play or group queue because they're pulling large numbers of people over to a game mode that a lot of us don't necessarily even really aren't that interested to play, other than just getting the stuff in events. So. People have always been saying the game is on its last legs for quite a few years now, and at least Steam statistics, it's always trundling along. I think, as before we've mentioned, they're constantly doing sales. I wonder what's the story behind that. They are looking to rejuvenate faction warfare, which, if you ask me, is just spreading themselves too thin still. Like, I feel there's quick play, there's group play, there's invasion mode, there's scouting mode, there's 7 Solaris divisions, both also for 1v1s and 2v2s. In total, I don't know, that's like 30 different buckets that you're spreading your player base amount among. And there is a fair amount of players, but is there really that many to have a concurrently effective quick play, group play, invasion, scouting, and Solaris modes happening all at the same time? I think it's a little foolish to keep jumping between all these modes and try and pull the player base apart like this.
Okay, Ian?
Well, that's actually a hard one for me. So I found myself playing less and less of the game over the past couple of weeks and months. But I don't think I'm ever gonna stop playing this game. So, from my perspective, the state of the game, I like where the game currently is. I think I'm always going to come back. And I think as long as there are people like me who basically provide a constant, although not permanently active player base, I don't think the game is going to die anytime soon. I think the game is going to live until PGI eventually decides that it's no longer worth to run the servers. And yeah, I hope that time is some time in the far, far future.
Marsh.
Okay. So I think the state of the game is that I think Biter kind of said it is just trundling along. Essentially, is that it might be maybe because I've had other things happen personally and I haven't been able to hop on as often, but I feel like there's been a slight loss of steam. I can't explain it. Because I can recall a few months back, if I had some downtime at work, I would go to Twitch and you see a fair number of people streaming. Like I know Majestic, you were on today and everything, but I feel like there's been some loss of that, possibly, but I don't know. Like I feel like the game is rolling along. I think where it's at currently, it's at a good state game wise. As a community, I want to see more community driven things. I'm looking forward to MechCon coming up. I'm hoping to get to it. I still need to figure out my passport stuff for that because I need a passport to get to that, and that usually gets people back in. Is that MechCon comes back. Yeah, and I see that actually in the chat and Discord. Yes, during the summer there are less people on, which I don't know. Like to me, that seems a little counterintuitive. But then again, I'm also an adult. I'm also on less because I'm doing adult things, yard work things, housework things. But I know when I was still in college and like high school, it's like I was always playing games because I wasn't in school. So I don't know. Like I can't explain it. Come fall, I think once new things are announced or once we get over this next hurdle of the PTS, things might pick up a little bit. I don't think the game is going to die. I think there's always going to be a player base because BattleTech fans, we're not like a large group, but man, are we devoted.
Yeah.
I mean, we stay forever. It's just that I think it's kind of hard to even come after Biter because I kind of agree with a lot with Biter said that is that I wish we weren't split through 3 game modes. Like quick play probably being the strongest. Faction warfare, not as much, and then you have Slayer 7, which I feel like that wasn't complete. I don't know. It came out, and then it just I don't know. I mean, real quick. Just like show of hands or just in the Discord here. How many of you still go back to Solaris 7?
What's Solaris 7 again?
I forgot.
Yeah.
What's Solaris?
Exactly.
I like
Well,
totals.
I reread all of the Solaris novels. Does that count?
I don't think that counts.
I don't know. So that's just my take of it. It's like I feel like, I mean, I enjoy Solaris, but I think the biggest thing, as I've always said, is that it comes down to marketing. Can they get this game marketed? Can they get the hype back up? And right now, I don't see the hype. I see it as just, we're all here, the main player base is here, but I don't see the hype that was about a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah. Right now, it's people talk about the buffs and the nerfs. A lot of people are down about those two things.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm not going to leave. I enjoy making content because I still enjoy the game, but that's my take of it.
Yeah. And Majestic?
I kind of have a long-winded thing here, but I'll try and cut it down as much as I can.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
So the current state of the game, I try to see it from 2 different perspectives, as a player and also as a streamer. And I really agree with the sense that like this is probably one of the strongest, as small as it is, this is probably one of the strongest communities that I've ever seen. Like it's like if you look at streams and content and video creation and stuff like that, and you look at the comment section, it's not riddled with like 3-year-olds just like shooting their mouth off. There's actual intellectual conversation going on and deep questions that go into it, and people that are genuinely curious about stuff that's going on. And I think that's what keeps the game healthy, because it causes rise for debate. And obviously there's differences between everyone's play styles and what they like to run and what they like to perform with on the battlefield. But at the same point, it's extremely critical that kind of continues. I think I can agree that right now it seems like we're on this little bit of a hamster wheel with PGI and what they're implementing in the game. The learn buffs, laser buffs, it's cyclical. Okay, so like again, that's another aspect about this that I think people need to realize is that it doesn't last forever. Once PGI is looking at all the stats and if they see like obviously there's a dip in the player base based off changes that they've made, then hopefully they'll either announce something that brings players back or they modify it so it's more beneficial for players that don't necessarily like whatever change they made. And with that being said, it goes into I was even thinking about like what would bring back players that were originally there for the beta or back in what was it was it late 2012 that beta was around? That the beta launched?
Yeah, 2012, early 2013, something
yeah,
like that.
so like that's 6 years at this point that this game has been around. And that's a long life duration for a game to exist, and it's gone through a ton of changes and everything like that. But something simple that I feel like they could implement in the game that would kind of bring even the old player base back is the old maps. As simple as that sounds, like like Forest Colony version 1, or just simply put it like that. It's not going to take much effort on their part, and you do a Frozen City version 1, Terra Therma version 1, and just having that possible aspect of the game in the rotation would even be appealing to people. I think the queue times are another thing that people fret over because, like you said, with everyone being split between so many different options, it sucks. You don't want to sit there for you have downtime. You don't want half of your downtime or half of your relaxation time to be searching for your downtime. From the standpoint, like that's where I know that whole 8 versus 8 debate came up and everything like that, and from that standpoint, damage scores would be different, and people would have to adjust to that, and whereas a 1,000-round match is considered like, oh, whoa, crazy, great. Now, if we switched to 8v8 or something like that, it would be more like 700 would be like, whoa, so it's all relative at that point. But you're talking about creating another 8-man squad by reducing the 12v12 to 8v8, so it's like that could solve that problem if PGI actually did want to go down that path. So there's so many different aspects of this game that I'd rather PGI think through it, because if one part of the game suffers versus the other, then us as the players and the streamers and the dedicated fans to it kind of suffer the most from. So that in regards to just the general state of the game, though, I have to agree with a lot of the comments that are being made here, where it's like, yeah, you're caught in a hamster wheel. Yeah, I enjoy what's going on. The hype kind of is trending down a little for me. And personally, from what I've seen, doesn't mean I'm going to stop playing the game. Doesn't mean I'm not going to appreciate the game. But just from what I've noticed in the community, and I just hope that we can right the ship.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I know that was a lot. I know it was all over the place, but
that's what it's for, right?
Yeah, but that's just really all the things that I was thinking about, because obviously I care about the game and the community, and to address some of those things would be some of the stuff that I think I mentioned. But
well, yeah, just like you said, I care about the game and I care about the community, and that's why I'm so adamant about certain things like marketing. Basically, one of the things is like market as much as possible. And what Lars was describing was that the hype, the hype is gone. I enjoy making content. I enjoy putting lore into it, like making stories and doing that kind of stuff. I enjoy that kind of stuff, like editing. But like I find myself doing other games now. Like I do like kind of like theme weekends now, like it's Mecha weekend or horror weekend. So like jump to different things, because doing Mechwarrior Online, I don't know if you actually experience this, like Lore Majestic, is that doing Mechwarrior all the time, you just kind of get to a point where like, oh my god, I gotta do this again. But jumping in and out, which is fine for me, go and do that, and I don't mind that. But it just the hype is gone for me, basically. And like I said, I jumped to other different games, trying to become different things. But I love the game. I love the atmosphere. I love the community. Is one of the things that actually really keeps me involved into the game itself. And it's just the hype is gone. I wish that us as streamers we could figure out something that we can do for PGI, because obviously PGI's marketing department doesn't really want to do that, but figure out something we can do for them. Either hey, we're gonna have a all streamer mech match, with 24 streamers or something like that. Be kind of cool to hype up the game like they did in PUBG. I know they did that as well. But just something to promote the game, to kind of make it more exciting for the players to watch and to also to be engaged in, for like content wise. I should do the outro. But with all the changes and everything, I do think Solaris 7 was a mistake. It should have. It's a good idea. I love the concept. I love the idea of it. But I think they put much resources into it. They should have went to quick play, because that's what everyone goes into, like more maps or different game modes. But as far as Solaris 7's cool, just they put too much stuff into it, and basically now, like everyone's talking about, is they split up the queues. So now everyone's doing different things. There's so many different things. There's like 36 different modes to go into, but yet your player base starts dripping down. It's like faction warfare, where they had to make it A versus B, clan versus like inner sphere. And so, like, because no one was actually doing no one was doing the faction warfare, so they dropped it down into two buckets, clan versus like inner sphere. So like I do feel that they need to kind of reduce that down or put more emphasis into quick play, because that seems to be their bread and butter of the game itself. But I don't know. That's just my own take on it. And one thing that really keeps me, like I said, involved in is the community itself. I mean, that's pretty much it. Just you guys are freaking awesome, man. You guys don't understand. I've never been in any type of environment or a game out of the umpteen years I've been playing since 1922. But out of all the different times I've been playing games, I've never seen any community that's as great as Mechwarrior Online or BattleTech, or just just us in general. Because I mean, like, I could talk to like Beef, I could talk to like all the different people, bounce ideas off them. They're like no, they're not like that. They're like, hey man, try this and do this and check this out. We like to help each other, and that's one thing I love about the community. But it just in general though, I love the game. I'll still be here since it'll be the last server, I'll be the last person playing pretty much. But I do enjoy everyone here though. So there we go. That's my take on the game. Okay. So I think that's it. I don't know if I want to do the intro or the outro.
Go for it.
I really suck at that.
So, no! Next on the list is the dropship sale.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
You can start us off, old Bob.
So we have next on the list is the dropship sale. So, okay. With everything, this is episode 50.
Your cue to drop out of here.
So with everything, guys, we do appreciate everything you guys do, watching us, watching streamers, engaging the streamers, and just enjoying the YouTube content and PGI and different the game in general, and how much we appreciate everything you guys do as far as just helping us out, like everything. We love what we do. At least I do. I don't know if like anyone else does. I'm sure everyone else does here. But just do enjoy everything you guys do for us, and we enjoy doing it for you. So this is the episode number 50 of the First Circuit Podcast with, I'll just name off the names. You guys say hi. Biter.
Hi.
Ian.
Hi.
Larsh.
Hey.
Majestic.
What's up, man?
And me, old Bob. So we're going to leave you at that, and thank you for watching First Circuit Podcast number 50, and we will see you on the battlefield.